Hi again everyone, Associate Golf Professional Jay Schiffbauer here. Today what we're going to go over in one of my videos is driving. I have a lot of people asking me how to hit the ball more solid, visually what to see, and how to properly set up. I have a lot of students and I see a lot of golfers who tee up the ball. First off, the tee height is incorrect, and secondly, they set up over it and they never pick out their target where they want to land the ball, an intermediate target, and a spot right in front of the ball to focus on. So we're going to go over today are those three things and a couple other tips. So first off, we're going to go over tee height. The proper tee height is having a quarter to half of the ball over top of the club face. So if I sit my driver down right behind this ball, you can see it about half of the ball is over top of the club face, and that's what we're looking for. And the reason that is when you come through with the driver, you're not going to bottom that driver out on the ground. So when you come through, you're not going to bottom out the driver on the ground like you would an iron. You're actually going to sweep up on it and actually miss the ground by about 1/4 of an inch. I sit it down, the ball is right in the center of the face. I'll hit it in the center of the face. That would be true with an iron, but with a driver, you want that ball a little bit above the club face. So that's part one. Part two is picking out a spot in between the ball, your intermediate target, and your final target. So if we get behind the ball here and we look, I'm trying to hit this ball right down the center of the fairway, and there's 150 stake about right dead center in the fairway. And that's where I want to start this ball. So I'm going to take the ball, a spot about 6 inches to a foot in front of it, my intermediate target, which would be right at the beginning of the fairway. I see a little group of leaves right there, and then the 150 stake. So if I set up and I look at those three things, there's a little pebble right in front of the ball, the group of leaves, and then the 150 stake. So then when I set up to this, I'm going to go through a different way of properly lining up to it. So first off, when I step into this, I'm going to have my feet together, club behind the ball, even and focusing right in that spot, take my stance, and then from there, I'll be ready to swing. So now we're going to give you a down the line shot of what I just went over, and I'm going to add one or two more things. We've got our ball teed up to proper height. Set that club behind it. We can see we have 1/4 of the ball over top of the club face. Now secondly, now you're going to be able to see down the line and what I was talking about when I said picking out your three targets. Target in front of the ball, intermediate target, final target. So as you can see way in the distance, we've got the 150 stake. That's where I'm trying to land this ball. So that's my final target. My intermediate target, right at the beginning of the fairway there's a leaf, okay? Little tiny leaf. What that's going to do is, when I set up to it now, I'm going to line that club face up with that leaf instead of a target that's 300 yards away. Trying to set up to a target that's about 300 yards away is very, very difficult and almost near impossible. Okay, so we're going to line up with that target right in front of the ball, intermediate target, and then our final target. So when we set up here, we're going to make sure that when we get up there, that we have that ball just inside our front foot. So I'll give you a little side view of that. So when I set up to that, I'm going to make sure that I have that ball right inside my left heel, my front heel, I should say. So a lot of time I'll see players play that ball way in the front of their stance. So what happens is they get set up and then they end up getting way back and trying to hit behind that ball like this, and they'll hit their club behind it and chunk it or top the ball. Another part to this is going to be your alignment. You want to have a visual for when you line up with your body. So what I like to do is when I have all my spots picked out, my 3 spots, when I set up next to it, I want to imagine that I've got a set of train tracks running all the way down past my target. Because what happens with a lot of players is they pick out their landing spot with their target and they end up lining their feet up to the same spot. Well, what that does is that actually gets your alignment with your club face correct, but now your feet and your body alignment is sideways. That's going to cause you to start to hit across the ball and miss fairways. So what we want to do is we want to make a set of train tracks. So we've got our spot picked out where we want to land it. And we've got our feet going running parallel to it, a set of parallel lines going right down to the target. What I'm doing is I'm looking at those 3 spots, and then visually I'm seeing the shot that I want to hit. So what I'm doing now is I'm seeing myself line up to that target, give my stance, let's go over those steps again for you to properly hit the ball correctly off the tee. First, you want to make sure that you've got a quarter to a half that ball over top of the club face, because you're going to be hitting up on the ball. Ball position, you want to make sure it's just inside your lead foot. You're going to make sure you have those 3 spots picked out correctly. The first spot is going to be where you want the ball to end up. Your intermediate spot, halfway to a quarter of the way there. Then the spot that to me is the most important, that's the spot directly in front of the ball. About 6 inches to a foot in front of the ball. It could be anything. It could be a speck of dirt. It could be a pebble. It could even be a broken tee. Can't put anything out there, but you just want to pick a spot right in front of the ball that helps you line up. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'll do my best to respond to them. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JRS_ProGolf, or you can follow me on Facebook. Have a good one, guys, and remember, fire away.